Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Good morning. Topper, how are you doing?
I'm very fine, thank you. I've also said this when I said Topper goes to school.
Yeah.
You know, like, in my mind, I've read books. I've done some online courses on real estate. When I listened to Dr. Olumide Emmanuel 3 hours straight yesterday, it was like, you don't know Jack. Wow. And I remember that Dr. Sidafai was saying the same thing too, that he spent 30 minutes with Dr. Olumide Emmanuel, and he realized that he has spent 5 years in the industry and he was still learning from. So there are levels to these things, and I know that Dr. Olumide Emmanuel has done 30 years in real estate. He's doing a real estate masterclass yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and I feel like I'm in a boot camp. So very, very informative, and it just some of the information weakens you because we don't have policies. We don't have policies. You can buy land and all land belongs to the government. They can revoke your COFO. They can, like,
at any time.
There are court cases that are not in a server. So you can see a land, you can buy it, it's well documented, but there's a court case for the past 20 years on that land, and you cannot verify it. So there are many ways we can make life easy for our citizens and make investments seamless. You know, so it's for entrepreneurs.
I'm happy you're in that sector. You know, I have a feeling that because knowing the kind of person you are, then your voice, as you're growing, you become a voice in that sector. Yeah. We all now look up to you in that area. So even when it comes to the area of governance, you can also help and advise. So it's good, just stay in that sector, and we know that.
Stay there, baby, and make the money.
How are you doing this year?
I want to do my YK today now. I've missed YK 2 times now. Yeah, I haven't done any. Yeah, so today is Friday. On Fridays, we usually have a book review, BC and Brains Book Club. And this month, we're starting with the book, A Happy Pocket Full of Money by David Cameron Gikandi. So I wanted them to take them through a money series. You're going to come and talk to us, don't worry.
I want to read the book.
Yes, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. So I want, over time, we have experts, people who are in the finance industry, the business, to come into the group and have a session with them, just encourage them, help them solve some of their challenges that they're facing in their different areas of business and life and all that. So 9 p.m. today, book club.
But you have to be a member now to join. So
yes, you have to be a member.
Just an FYI.
No, but it's free.
We have to subscribe to you. How do you join?
Yes, you will tell me that you want to join.
Okay,
now. You will talk about it and you will join.
I'm thinking, like,
someone sent me a message and I said, send her a DM, and the person got your number and she's already joined.
How you doing?
I'm fine.
Mariam Lunge.
Mrs. Long.
I love the way. I love everything. It just looks so good on you.
See, and we're telling this beautiful lady how pretty she looked yesterday in all pink. And she didn't see it because she does not like pink. Just intellectually, she just does not like pink. But not for the way it compliments her skin. But before we go any further, tomorrow is World Migratory Bird Day. So we know what migratory birds are, birds that move from place to place, from continent to continent. And World Migratory Bird Day is usually set aside to raise awareness on the importance and the role that they play in our environment, in our ecosystem, and also the threat to their population. There's a constant and growing decline of these migratory birds, and I'll use the opportunity also to shed the light on the Egyptian vulture, especially, that is declining. I have spoken many times of the importance of their role in our environment. They're the garbage cleaners of our ecosystem, of our environment. They are so important. I mean, they were so understood and well revered in ancient Egypt that they were almost like sacred birds. You know, they called them the Pharaoh's chickens. They understood their role even then. So now we need to get back to that place where we understand every species has an important role to play, and the decline or the endangerment of a particular species will affect us, you know, completely.
Catch them young. Parents should engage
Egyptian vulture. Please save the vultures. Don't kill them.
And when we see them.
But I think parents can use tomorrow as an opportunity to engage their children, to get them, catch them young into the mindset of preserving this circle of life that we have. Let's take care of nature. Mariah, you have 4 children.
How you doing?
Before them create an army.
Let's go to Mariah before she runs off. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Why
I'm not engaging her by World Vulture Day. I like your head tie.
No. Listen, man. This is Nigeria. Somebody told us yesterday we're in a jungle. We accepted we're in a jungle. So, and I'm now thinking, as a member of this jungle, how are we going to survive? Because I was telling my husband the other day, I said, are you sure we shouldn't get a flat in Ghana? You know, just in case anything happens. Should we just start getting out? I don't know.
We have a platform to spread hope. And there are opportunities. And so we must ensure that in the midst of there's information overload going on right now. Everywhere you turn, there's something saying things are going bad. So we must, to a large extent, sound the voice of
That's
hope.
why
because the more we do
if you let me finish what I was going to say. I was telling my husband that I wanted to do do we get a flat? He now said, listen, this is our home. Where we're going to. We have to face and make it work. We continue to pray and believe and trust. There's no way you want to go because you want to grow on the way. But God forbid it didn't happen, you might not even have access somewhere else. So this is home. So yes, we understand that we are worried about insecurity, but we continue to have hope. That's one thing everybody agrees on, hope. And we pray that we will not disintegrate. I would not, we will find some kind of solution to all those existing problems.
And the solution really lies in the little tiny things that we do. It doesn't have to be a very big savior person coming to. So when we talk about conservation of birds, it's important towards the hope of our nation. Thank you.
I choose to reserve my comment. The first time you talked bird, I did not say anything. I kept quiet. You got took it in again. Okay. Let me not talk about this matter, but let us continue to save the birds. We're going to break. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. All right, we're going to start with the punch as usual. And let's see what we have here. Anxiety in FCT, heavy security at NNPC, Army Barracks, others. 1 dead, vehicles destroyed as hoodlums clash in Lagos. Talks ongoing for release of Greenfield varsity students, says Gumi. Probe begins Monday as FG suspends NPA Managing Director, Bala Usman. Rep summon NNPC, CBN, FIRS, EFCC probe on illicit financial flows. And we were ready to lose students in planned bandits bombardment, says El Rufai. Okay, BC, major headline. Go ahead,
I have the human interest in the Punch.
Okay, go ahead.
So on Thursday, after a clash between some Hausa and Yoruba youth in the Gengere area of Mile 12, they said, according to the story, one of the porters, an Hausa porter, had, an altercation with a Yoruba porter and then stabbed him. And I think he died. And so his people came back for a reprisal attack. So the whole of Mile 12 and that Gengere area, they had like a serious clash between the two tribes and factions. And then they were robbing people who were, driving passengers. Most people had to come down. Drivers had to come down from their cars and run away. They were entering shops. They were looting. And by the time the owners of the vehicles came back, they had damaged most of the vehicles. They had stolen 1 or 2 things from there. And, the police has responded saying that I think about 48 persons have been caught in relation to what is happening. And investigation is ongoing. I just want to appeal to people who are in those sort of areas, the marketplaces and all of that, to try as much as possible to be safe while we're waiting for the police to do their job.
Right.
Yeah.
So El Rufai was speaking at a webinar that was organized called the Africa Leadership Group, and he was asked some questions concerning, the kidnappings that's happening in his state. And he said concerning the students that were just released, that at the time, that 2 days after they were abducted, the Army and the Air Force had assured him that they had them round, that they were aware of where the abductees were and the bandits. And the plan was to attack them, that yes, there would have been collateral damage of losing some of the students, but it was the price that they were willing to pay because it would mean killing of the bandits. But then the bandits now changed their plans and moved location. And so that was why it turned out the way that it did. And he also said, he was also asked questions about him talking about never negotiating. And why did he advise negotiation during the Jonathan Goodluck's time? And he said, well, at that time was one of the very first abductions to have happened. And Boko Haram is not motivated. Boko Haram is an ideological warfare. It's not motivated by money like the current banditry that we're facing right now. And so at that time, it was the right thing to do for that time. But it is different now. And he says, well, Kaduna State, what's happening in Kaduna State, it's not even as bad as what's happening in Niger, Zamfara, and other things. But it's like the ethnic coloration is what is making it the forefront. Right. I believe that, yes, with time, things change. The different ways that we handle the banditry violence that happens to us. You come up with different strategies. So I think that was what she was just trying to say, that there was a strategy for that time, which is different from the strategy for this time.
Right.
The House of Representatives,
okay.
Yes, the House of Representatives has created a policy. They are driving and pushing for the EFCC and all financial crime institutions that the committee should sit on them, invite all the leaders to curb illicit financial flow. And I like the way Idiagbo explained what it means. It's the cross-border transfer of capital that was illegally earned, transferred, or utilized, and often consists of commercial money laundering, tax evasion, and proceeds of corruption and criminal activities. So the idea is Nigeria is still losing a lot of revenue to illicit financial flow. So the EFCC, ICPC should check that. Then tax evaders, too, are also making Nigeria as a government lose money.
Right.
The FIRS also should check that. So we're waiting to see whatever the report would be concerning from the committee.
Still in Punch, Sheikh Gumi met with 27 of the Africa students' parents yesterday and was reassuring them that the Greenfield students' abductors, the conversation is still ongoing. And according to him, he said, you know, they threatened to kill all of them after a particular deadline. But after talking to them, they are now lowering their bar. So according to him, we are thankful they have stopped killing, and we are now negotiating with them. I hope this Afaka case will encourage everyone to know that there is hope in negotiation and release of the children. Well, we are quite hopeful.
Oh, wow.
Okay, moving on to the next paper. It's going to be The Nation. The Nation. Insecurity, our challenges by service chiefs and others. Buhari governors, leaders condole with Adeboye over son's death. Mbaka's action shakes Catholic Church. Suspended MPA MD Bala Usman for probe. And Abarabe should be in jail over Kanu's escape. And picture here of the fire that happened in Oshodi, Lagos yesterday. Which story are we taking? Go ahead, please.
So the president has suspended the managing director of Nigerian Ports Authority, Hadiza Bala Usman, and it's reported also that a panel of inquiry has been constituted to look into the matter, and that will sit on Monday. And at the time of this report, it's not clear what the reasons for the suspension is, and the Ministry of Transport, that's the parent ministry, also said that there's no official statement to the effect of her suspension, but they are aware that she has been suspended. We know that she was just reappointed by the president in January, so I guess we'll hear, once the panel sits, what may have caused this. No clear information on why she was suspended.
Okay. So yesterday there was a closed session between the military, security chiefs and senators to exchange ideas on how to curb the issues of insecurity. And they mentioned some of the problems that have been confronting them. And one of the things they said was the fact that their Air Force lacked trained pilots, though that has recently resumed. They had started that one. They also talked about the fact that they lacked adequate equipment and low capacity. And one of the reasons they mentioned that they lacked this low capacity was the fact that the former president retired all officers that served in political positions. That was former President Olusegun Obasanjo. And because of that, the brightest officers did not have the opportunity to give knowledge to the existing officers. And so they lost that in the long term. So they also discussed the police funding and how they are going to improve the police sector. With everything that they have discussed, we want to see more of action. So we've been having committees and having meetings and people coming together to brainstorm. We want to see the results of these brainstorming. It's not enough to tell us that you people met and brainstormed. We want to see results.
All right, let me take the picture story in The Nation. Governor Sanwo-Olu yesterday commissioned 4 new infrastructure projects in Lagos. It was at the Faisal Omar Senior High School, Iwaya Unike Girls School, Iwaya, and a few others, Akinton Junior Grammar School. And this was part of the 18 classrooms with administrative offices. And also, other projects were also commissioned. And about 86,000 dual furniture sets were supplied to 774,000 schools, 775 schools, actually. 17 new school buildings, 197 schools renovated, and 8 new hostel blocks built in boarding houses. I mean, this is interesting because there hasn't been quite a lot of renovation in many of our public schools in many years, almost since maybe Tinubu's time. So it's interesting to see that the governor is actually doing work to rehabilitate and build new schools, although he's still avoiding our show, and we'll continue to appeal to him.
You're beginning to hound him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go on a break. When we come back, we continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. All right, so talk about the story, Nation.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
The NECO exam results are out, and 66% passed. I am happy about that. It was above average. Remember that the NECO exam was written in the midst of the pandemic last year, and the result was good. 66% of candidates passed, obtaining 5 credits, and including subjects of English and Maths, which are the compulsory one. And now the exam body has announced that registration would start, scheduled to take place in 2021. So those that are interested in writing the exams should plan and go ahead.
All right, moving on to Daily Sun. Banditry, heavy security deployment in Abuja. Tension in Abia, Imo, as gunmen abduct varsity students. Save Nigeria from disintegration, Wike begs. SIM, NIN linkage will improve security and strengthen our economy, says Buhari. Expect greater floods, says federal government. Residents desert streets over military shootings in Imo community, and how Adeboye's 42-year-old son died. Which story are we taking?
I could take the gunmen that abducted yet to be a determined number of students from the Abia State University, ABSU. According to the story, said they were on their way to along the Okiwe-Oturu Road from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. They were moving in a minivan when they bumped into the gang that brought them out of the vehicle and marched them straight into the forest. So they said 2 of the students were able to escape. Others are still being held in an unknown environment. But the police, according to the police, said they've confirmed the story. They are working hard to rescue the students. But I think we need to know the number of the students so that we know if, when the rescue happens, if they are complete or not. It will help people understand what is happening.
Our hearts go out to Pastor Adeboye and his wife, the founder of RCCG, or the general overseer of RCCG, actually. Obviously, many of us already know that he lost his 42-year-old son yesterday. They have not publicly determined the cause of death, but we know that, according to the reports, he slept and didn't wake up. And our hearts just go out to the family, and we pray that at this time, God will just give them that fortitude to bear this really, really great loss.
Take the story of Yusam Wike, speaking at the South-South Zonal Working Committee of PDP, said that we need to call on nationalists and those who believe in the indivisibility of Nigeria to rise and work together to rescue it from disintegration. I read the entire report, and I was waiting for maybe there were going to be some suggestions, but it was full of attacking the present government. The APC-led government is not doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, all the way to Z. But can we, and I know that we need to preserve this country right now, can we not be attacking political parties right now and focus on how to build a nation? So you are the nationalist governor. You are the one with the mouthpiece. Do the right thing. Speak.
All right. The Nigerian Tribune reps pro 43 billion naira safe school initiative, actually. Let's find a story we've not taken. No training of 3,000 Fulani men in Ondo Army Barracks, says Akeredolu. 28 states at risk of severe flooding, says federal government. Oyo set to give final judgment on boundary disputes in 23 local governments. Reps probe reports on $348 billion illicit financial flow and loss of public funds. And insecurity defense budget not adequate, says Senate President. Okay.
Safe School Initiative.
Yes, please.
So the House of Reps are looking into investigating how the funds that were raised for the Safe School Initiative program has been utilized. And it shows that when they did a breakdown of the funds, it shows that 20 million that was donated for the take-up of the Social School Initiative project in 2014, And as of 2018, there was a 41 billion naira that was realized as donations from countries and other donors. Despite these monies, there's nothing on ground to show that the seriousness of this project taking off. And so it's almost, I think they also called it a failed, project as it is right now. And so they're going to start investigating all the amounts that were accrued towards this, the donations that were made and we got towards the Safe School initiative, and how it has been spent, and why there's nothing to reflect the amount of monies that we're reading about. So it will be very interesting to note where these monies went. And
they've launched out that investigation, and they are expecting to be given a report within 6 days. So let's see what they come up with.
So residents desert street over military shooting in Imo State. Apparently, it's a normal exercise to deter bandits, but villagers were not aware there was going to be such exercise. So everybody was running away from their shop. They didn't understand. So it was a case of, we don't even know who to trust, according to the report, that the villagers were wondering, who do we trust? Why are they shooting? What's going on? And that it was sporadic. They would stop for a while and then they would continue shooting. So marketplaces were deserted. Traditional rulers now said that this is a normal activity military carry out, that is a way to deter bandits and kidnappers, that they are on ground. I just wish that the villagers were pre-informed so that they would be able to keep calm despite the attacks that the shooting that took place.
Would also be a way not to inform them so that the bandits are scared into, if they are aware, if there's a pre-information about it,
they organize themselves.
Then the CBN also extended the Naira for dollar. So there was supposed to be a Naira for dollar policy that they implemented to encourage official remittance, inflow of money from Nigerians, from diaspora to Nigeria. And now it was supposed to have elapsed, but it's been extended indefinitely to encourage inflow. But I also heard that the policy from the CBN that caps how much can be remitted. So let's not have remittance.
I've not seen that.
I don't know about the cap.
I'm not about the cap yet, but I know that I've actually benefited from this 5%.
Yes, I have.
Which is
Naira for dollar policy.
Yes. I was surprised. I thought it was shocked, a scam. When the money was here, really?
No, the guy did not want to release the money. So I said, hey, the CBN said you are supposed to give me Naira for this dollar policy. I want it.
Yeah, so the person that
it's good that you are informed so that you can.
The person that sent me, I was like, but that's percentage they gave. Please, can you transfer? What is it now? What is your problem? Anyways, but I think it's a good encouragement.
It is.
Mariam.
Obviously, a good policy.
Let's move to The Guardian. Rumors of bandits attacks unsettle Abuja. That's an important story because people are scared. Since that your Niger State governor made that declaration, people living in Abuja are not very, very comfortable. And then cautious optimism as contractor takes over Port Harcourt refinery for the $1.5 million rehab. And based on that story, I read that story, the project is supposed to engage 3,000 Nigerians, 70 expatriates, and stakeholders also list the modalities as Port Harcourt refinery transmits 1,790 documents to contractors. So it's official. We've been talking about it. Is it coming? Is it coming? Well, it's here. They've handed over. They've started. And as the paper said, cautious optimism. Yes, we know it's a good thing, but we're also cautious at the modalities of how it was done,
implemented.
if it will be actually done successfully, and if we're going to benefit from it, it's going to actually generate power. So we'll just keep monitoring this story and hope that to be beneficial to all Nigerians at the end of the day.
Quickly, Niger State, so dozens of people have been kidnapped from Shandadi town in Mariga local government area. They said 1,000 gunmen attacked, killed about 8 persons, and wounded 4. All the villagers are fleeing to other neighboring towns. And though the Commissioner for Information has said that the people allegedly abducted was less than 100, like it was initially reported, but they are compiling statistics of the people and they are asking for help from the federal government to see how they can help solve this issue.
All right, let us go on a quick break. When we come back, we go into our first hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're minding our business. Jejeli, when we saw in the papers that 89 men were beaten up by their wives in the last 15 months. And we're wondering, how? you will not believe, was actually the Lagos State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation that said it with her own mouth. So he said, okay, let us bring her to the show and let's come and explain, because we didn't want to really talk about it. How is this possible in this Lagos? So join us as we welcome Mrs. Cecilia Bolaji Dada. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you.
So this revelation, I mean, many find it startling, you know, but also real, because the truth is that we know it happens, but people don't talk about it. So as the Commissioner for Women Affairs, obviously so many data comes to you, so much data comes to you. Could you give us an understanding where these figures came about, how it came about, and how do you help these kind of people to find solution?
Thank you very much, Maria. Well, indeed, 89 men came to the ministry to complain about domestic violence. It wasn't all of them that were beaten by their wives.
Okay.
We had about 6 cases of men that were beaten by their wives, but most of the reports were that the men wanted custody of their children. Maybe their wives ran away with the children, and they have, well, they say emotional violence, which is part of domestic violence. So they want us to look for the wives. They want us to invite the wives to bring back their children. So that's what actually happened. But having said that, I must say here, why is it news that 89 men were beaten by their wives? Why is it not news that 664 women were beaten by their husbands?
The difference is, you know, for men, we don't hear them come out. I think it's a thing of shame, and the fact that the society would, you know, stigmatize you when you come out and say your wife beats you up. So they swallow in silence, and then we just hear, it's the women's voices that are loudest. So we always assume, once you hear domestic violence, the assumption is that it's the man that is beating the woman. Now, I wanted to ask you, what encouraged those men to come out and speak to the ministry?
You see, our culture is part of the problems we have. And the stereotypes that men must be macho. Who says a boy cannot cry? Who says men cannot cry? And that's the problem we have. A lot of parents focus on the girl child. A lot of people focus on the women. But men too feel pains. So it is possible for them to also be violated. And I must let you know today that it's time for us to focus on the boy child. The ministry had a program, we've had a series of programs for men and boys, because we realized that most parents focus on the girl child. They look at the areas of not being violated. Meanwhile, boys too are violated by caregivers and what have you.
So, you know, I was looking at that number 89, and for me, I'm sure this is just the tip of the iceberg, because even for the number for women, we know that that's just a little of, for those who feel confident or who have been pushed to the point that they need to, you know, speak out. So what I would like for you to help us explain today would be what the signs are for you to recognize that a man is in this vulnerable situation, because mostly men would not speak up. How do you become your brother's keeper in a situation where you're able to speak up for him or help him go and get help? What are the signs you should look out for?
Like I said earlier on, men find it difficult to speak out. And when they come to report, it's at the verge of breakup. They come to say, please, take this woman out of my house. This woman, I cannot cope with her anymore. And for them to come out, it must have gotten to a level that they cannot take it anymore. When you see men that go to work and do not always want to go back home, or when you see men that just decide to sit in beer parlors and viewing centers, when you see men that are not comfortable being around their wives, you know that they have issues. Problem. And you see, during the pandemic, during the lockdown, the reports spiked because people were locked up together, and they had no choice.
So if you see a colleague in the office that is just always ready to stay here till 9 p.m., just, you know, you want, maybe there's something, maybe it's time for the human resources of those companies to have a conversation. Is there any reason why you just like staying at work so late? That could be an indication to see, because they're, just like Mariam said, they don't like asking for help. Yeah. But let me come to Tope here.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the emotional abuse, because we don't touch on it enough. And people don't acknowledge the trauma that men feel when their children are taken away. We talk a lot about women. How can you take a woman's child away from her? How can you leave her alone? She's labored for these children. Why don't we acknowledge? We don't do enough to acknowledge the attachment a man has to the children. Based on your experience, your interaction with the reports on these men, what would you say? How would you rate the attachment men have to their children, and how they feel at the loss of their children being taken away from them by their wives?
It might interest you to know that a lot of men love their children more than the women. But men find it difficult to express themselves because they want to be strict, they want to be macho. They don't express the kind of love that the mothers expressed. So when you take those children away from them, it affects them emotionally. It affects them emotionally.
Just to add to what Tope said, because I'd like you to build more on that, how does the ministry help a man get back his children in that kind? Because usually you think it's something that goes for the courts. So do you act like an intermediary between the courts and them, or do you provide them lawyers, or do you just call a meeting with all the parties and try to resolve? What kind of service does the ministry provide for men in that situation where that want custody of their children?
Okay. Usually when they come, we try to find out where the women are with the children. We bring them into the ministry. We try to mediate. But as situations where we see that they need legal intervention, we refer them to the Ministry of Justice.
Okay. Is there any plans for sensitization and creating awareness so that a lot of men understand that it's okay to come and report if you're in this sort of situation?
Yes, we do a lot of sensitization programs for men and for boys. We let them know, like I said earlier on, yes, they have the right to feel pain. They can cry if they need to cry. They can express their pains if they have to. They don't have to be mature all the time. So we have a lot of sensitization and advocacy programs.
How do we get, because I'm not aware, and I'm sure a lot of people are not aware, how do we know about these programs?
Well, we have billboards, banners all around Lagos to let people know that when they are involved in any kind of violence, be it emotional, domestic, sexual, that they can come to the ministry. And there are phone numbers that they can easily call.
Can I just ask, in your sensitization, who are the stakeholders that you involve in having these conversations with these men? Because men... Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Because men don't listen to just everybody. You know, women, anybody that is talking, hey, see also, see my problem, help me. So a man needs to, it always seems like a man needs to find someone he can truly trust and someone that they look up to. Not just anyone would be enough for a man to sit down and listen to you.
You know, for them to come to the ministry, they had the choice to go to their religious leaders. They had the choice to go to their community leaders, but they chose to come to the government because they must have thought that it is the government that will be able to resolve their issues for them. And there is the Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team in Lagos State, which is a combination of all the MDAs involved in things like this.
So you did that, is the
DSVRT.
They're really active on Twitter there, and they're also very responsive. But one of the things that I find very interesting is the fact that Lagos is one of the safest places for women to be in, because we have laws and they are enforced. But if you go down to the rural areas, if you go to the lungus, the ghettos, you don't see them take advantage of the laws that protect them. It's in those places that a drunk husband comes on and slaps his wife, or an angry wife brings out the knife, and they don't even understand how to trace their way to the laws. What's the advocacy towards the lower income areas to engage them into taking advantage of the laws that exist already in Lagos?
Yes. Our ministry is not just for women in the urban areas. we actually go to the rural areas to sensitize them, to let them know their rights, to let them know that there's a government who is responsive, to let them know that there's a government who is ready to protect them. We don't just sensitize them, we also try to empower them, because we realize that women who are not empowered are the ones who get stuck in abusive marriages. So we have programs for women in the rural areas.
The truth is that you can't do it alone. You need partners with private sector. So are you talking to the private sectors, NGOs, to partner with you? Because so at least you can reach as many regions as possible.
Yes. We're in partnership with UNFPA, UN Women, and some NGOs in Nigeria.
Right.
Okay, how about celebrities? Okay. Because we know the power of celebrities and the influence they have. Their social media following ranges in millions and even hundreds of thousands. So who are the people that you're already working with in the media space to help propagate this message on a consistent basis?
Okay. Recently, we had a program called the E for She. And during that program, Patoranking was one of the champions. You know, he sang that song, My Woman. So he was one of the people that was decorated as
May I ask, because I know that before a man comes to the government to report such a case, it's already here, and he probably wants out. How do you encourage them to come in early? That's one. Two, how do you solve the issues of emotional abuse, not physical now? Do you work with, do you run like a counseling session? Do you work with therapists? How do you solve that particular issue?
The truth is that when the men come, they just want to get it over with. All they want is to get their children or to dissolve the marriage. So when you tell them to come in for counseling, psychosocial counseling, they will hardly respond. But a lot of women are being counseled. Women would rather want to be counseled. They will want to keep their marriages. But when a man comes out to say it is over, it's difficult for you to get them down to counsel them.
All right, let me go on a quick break. When we come back, move on to other segments of women affairs within Lagos State. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, in continuation of our review on Governor Sanwo-Olu's 2-year administration so far, our guests will continue to discuss with us the engagement of women. According to the reports we have, in Lagos, we have about 46% of about 25 million population to be women, which is great. And the fact that you have a few women also in your cabinet, you know, and I would like to see what else the government is doing to include women within its administrative achievements. So let's go into your government and what women, the role women play in your state. Let's start with your cabinet. How has it been? Are the women there part of the government? You know how you have just women just for the sake of women, let them just be there, sharp? Or are they giving you active roles within the government to actually function?
You know that the special advisor on works is a woman. Education is a woman. SA housing, a woman.
Agriculture.
You know, agriculture is a woman. And they're all doing exploits. For example, the last Women's Day, International Women's Day, we were the women were the ones that conducted ESCO. And the men were like, wow.
Wow.
Properly organized.
Yes.
Yeah, so I wanted to know some of the programs that, you know, the government is doing for women and how vulnerable women can reach and be a part of it.
Okay. There are a lot of programs that the Ministry for Women Affairs is doing for women in Lagos State. We usually have this mega empowerment program where in the last 2 years, about 5,780 women have been empowered. Gone are the days when government does empowerment programs and you just bring up all sorts of names and you just distribute those equipments and then they sell them off immediately after the program. What we do as the ministry is to go out to the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget has a department called SOKU where they have the register of the vulnerable in the states. We go to take from such register. Then some of our graduates from our 18 skills acquisition centers, the very good ones, also benefit from the empowerment programs. And then we meet with Association of Artisans. A lot of young people that have graduated, they've taken their freedom, but do not have money to set themselves up. Those are the categories of people that we empower in Lagos State.
What would you say is the response towards these programs that have been set up? Are you happy with how people connect and want to be part of these programs, or do you think that women could actually do better about finding out what these programs are and engaging and participating?
Well, I was just going to talk about one other program that is germane, is the short-term skills acquisition training, where we go out. We've been to about 25 centers to train women on various skills. And those skills are skills that they do not need shops. They do not need too much to start their own businesses. We train them for 4 weeks, and we give them startup packs to be able to start their businesses. And indeed, after the programs where we go for monitoring and evaluation, it's been very, very, very encouraging. Some of them start those businesses even while they're still being trained. And Lagos State government has trained about 6,750 women in 25 centers.
Okay, so there was a conversation that we had with an entrepreneur earlier this week, and it's a conversation that we've been having on the show many times, that sometimes skill acquisition goes beyond giving a skill and giving resource, because running a business is what we need to solve the problem within this country, and the important role of mentoring. And we have lots of businesses that people can be paired with for mentoring. How are you, is your ministry doing anything to provide mentorship for existing businesses and sort of plug people into the mentorship to scale up their business more successfully?
Yes. When our graduates, when our students in our skills acquisition centers are about to graduate, we give them entrepreneurial and digital training. And also, we've had about 2 of those programs where we pull in small SMSs, people, small business owners, to teach them how to run their businesses. And also, because of the new normal of online marketing and all of that, we've had digital marketing training for women in Lagos State.
How can people access this thing? Because somebody is watching now wondering, in this state that I am
hear
here.
Anything.
So how will I benefit from this?
Well, they can come to the Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Block 18, Alausa Ikeja. Or they can call this phone number.
No, we'll post that
at the end of
the show.
At the end of the show, okay.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask, we usually have a problem of data. We don't have, everybody's not really captured, because every time you do BVN, you do this, you do that. And tomorrow again, they'll still request for more data for anything you want to do. What's the guarantee that you have data on vulnerable people? Because there are a lot of people who I see around the slums who have no hope, and I don't see them participating in some of these programs you've mentioned, and they're in Lagos State.
Like I mentioned earlier on, there is a department in the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget that is saddled with the responsibility of gathering data of the vulnerable in the society. And when World Bank or any of these international donors want to have anything to do with the state, they insist on
data.
Those register for them to make sure that they get to the grassroots.
Do you keep updating that?
Yes, yes. There's a department that is saddled with that responsibility.
Now, as a commissioner, I would like to ask you, what's your greatest challenge in your ministry? What's that thing you find almost insurmountable, or that you're trying daily to come above or rise above, that you can share with us, and maybe people listening can say, let me see if I can partner with the ministry to support them in this regard?
Well, we've empowered over 48,000 women But if you look at the population of the women in Lagos State, which is about 11.5 million, we still haven't done enough. So we need partners. We need people to join the ministry to empower as many women as possible in Lagos State.
How easy is this? Because many people have ideas to empower, but then maybe they'll send their proposal and just because, you know, it gives credence if you say, in partnership with the Ministry of Women Affairs in Lagos State, we're going to be doing this self-funded program. But how accessible is your ministry to support such initiatives? It
depends on what you bring on the table. Some people will want cheap labor and come to you and say, we want to empower your women. Some time ago, somebody came and said, we want to empower your women. We want them to go on the streets to pick plastics. And when they come back, we'll weigh the plastics and then we'll give them money.
As in?
For me, I thought that was looking for cheap labor.
And inhuman.
You know? So, but recently, a company came on and said, we want to train your women on how to ride tricycle. We want to train them how to maintain it. And while the training is on, we'll be giving them stipends. And we'll accommodate them while the training is on. Those are the kind of partnerships we're looking for. As much as we want to empower women, we don't want to enslave them.
All right. Let me go on a quick break. When I come back, I'll continue with Mara. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have our guests with us. So Mariam had a question for the break. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so, you know, I'm looking at this number, the estimated number of 11.5 million women. And sometimes when we talk about empowerment program, we always see it just, you know, in a small way, micro level. Could you paint a picture of what it would mean if more women were empowered? What it would mean for them individually and what it would mean for the economy of the state?
Thank you very much for that question. When you empower a woman, you empower a nation. When a woman is empowered, like I said earlier on, she will not be forced to remain in an abusive marriage. When a woman is empowered, she'll be economically viable, and then she will be able to contribute to the GDP of the state. So women that are empowered, it boosts their confidence. You know, when you have to go cap in hand, begging for money to buy little things, it diminishes your confidence. But when you know that you're self-reliant, it boosts your confidence. And we don't want women in Lagos State that cannot stand up for themselves. We don't want women in Lagos State that will be intimidated, you know, by their spouses. So the more women empowered, the higher the GDP of the state.
I really like what you said concerning when you said you did not want them to, an empowerment that would enslave people, because for me it is very, very important that our leaders value the human beings that they are leading and then do not offer them what you would not be willing to offer your own relative as well. So I must applaud that.
Thank you.
Yeah, one of the reasons it seems to me like we take 100 steps forward and we take like 300 backwards is the fact that the government is not liaising enough with industry. So you empower these women, you give them something to start up business. We know that running businesses in Lagos, in Nigeria, is hard. And statistics have, has shown us that in the 5 years, if your business survives up to 5 years, you are okay. You know, most businesses crumble before they get to 5 years. Now, how do you ensure that you partner so that when you finish the skills acquisition, these people have a place to work and earn a living, not just them taking what you've given them to struggle and start their own business, which will require a whole lot of things to run business?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, most of the skills are things that they can start on their own. They don't need to go to work under anybody.
How do they survive?
Gone are the days where everybody wants white-collar jobs. These days, even graduates go to learn skills. We don't just train and abandon them. There is an agency in Lagos State, the LSCTF, Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, where they can access funds, they can access loans in partnership with Access Bank and some other banks. So the Lagos State government is not just training and leaving them to their own.
Let me give you an example, because recently we've been having talks with lots of leaders in the business sector. And here, if you're this, let me build on what PC said earlier. So you've empowered 1,000 women with grinders, another 1,000 with sewing machines. What PC is alluding to is the fact that the government needs to build an ecosystem such that all these blenders of pepper, you're all blending towards one object. So imagine I put this 1,000 people in this huge factory, and you're not blending pepper to package it, put it in the freezer and sell. It's going to be Lagos State pepper, whatever package, and we Lagos State provide the distribution channels, and where is Lagos pepper, blended, fresh pepper across the states. You've empowered them, and there's something doing. The sewing also, the sewing machine, you are sewing a Lagos State uniform, whatever supplier. So they're all sewing towards this objective of Lagos State students.
There's a market already.
There's a market of, because we have huge 20 million people in Lagos State. So you're building ecosystems of these various skills that you're building. That's one.
To sustain them.
Secondly, based on also, these are just our own small contributions. Secondly, based on what Mr. Akintayo said, said that if Lagos State or government gets maybe 10,000, 20,000 entrepreneurs, small scale, medium scale, higher scale, top level, clinical level, different levels. And say, okay, for this level, please hire 2 people. This level, hire 3 people. This level, hire 5. This level, hire 10, 100.
We'll solve the problem of
you hire people. So you need a PA. Get somebody to do XYZ, because you're not ensuring people are in the job market. So these are little initiatives that we can build.
Everybody cannot be a CEO.
Yes, everybody can be a CEO. So just small concepts that...
There is a ministry in Lagos State called the Ministry of Wealth Creation. Yes. Those are the kinds of things that they do in wealth creation. They create jobs, they create wealth. They get jobs for youths, women, and whatever.
Let me take...
And also, let me quickly also mention this. The Ministry of Commerce, we have a fashion hub where people can go in,
fantastic,
do whatever they want to do. They have all sorts of machines that ordinarily people cannot afford. You just go in there, do whatever you want to do for stipends.
Oh, that's
so we have a fashion hub, and the Lagos State government is also building a leather hub.
These are the sort of things we want to hear. Thank you.
Let me take this call. Kunle, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I want to thank our guest, the guest, for the initiative taken so far to empower women. But one issue remains, the issue of harassment by Lagos State agencies. I know quite a few women who rather do their business, putting their stuff in their cars, driving around because they don't want to subject themselves to different agencies coming for one thing or the other. So the whole thing boils down to the ease of doing business for entrepreneurs. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. did you get that? I wasn't really clear. Something about, I don't know. Was not very clear. Okay. We have to run. Do we have any tweets?
Yes, we have. Mafia said it's good to know that that things are changing now. We need to advocate that men be allowed to express their emotions without being castigated as being weak. Masculinity has more to eat than men be asked to suck up their pain. It is also counterproductive.
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
All right, we have to run, madam. Is there any final words you'd like to share with our viewers?
Well, Lagos women, it's high time you went out to look for jobs, to get skills. Whatever you learn cannot be taken from you. We have 18 skills acquisition centers around Lagos and our women development centers. The phone numbers to call will be displayed on the screen immediately after this program.
All right, that's all we can take. Let's go on a break. When we come back, move on to other hot topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, As the ladies of your view, we certainly cannot overlook this story that practically broke the internet about Bill and Melinda Gates, who announced their divorce after 27 years of marriage. And they also have 3 children, I believe. According to them, they said they could no longer grow together as a couple. And after a great deal of thought, a lot of work on their relationship, they decided to end their marriage. Now, the issue we're talking about is not so much Bill and Melinda, because the truth is that that's none of our business. But the conversation is what happened afterwards on social media, where if we have people like this who are this successful, who have reached the peak of the career and still feel the need to abandon this sacred institution of marriage, I would say sacred, you know, but is there any reasoning with aren't there ways we can still mend this kind of situation? I know these are different thoughts coming around. People are saying, well, if they can do it, then we else can do it. Or this is like a new empowerment drive for women who say, you know what, I don't have to take this, I'm moving on. You know, so seeing when we have our coach in the house, our life coach is always going to have you in the show. I know that, yes, this matter, you hear me scatter it. You know, but did you guys make sense of it? Could you make sense of, because I understand if you don't want to stay in the marriage, yeah, but after 27 years, you expect that people can be able to fix their problems or manage or live with the problem.
Mariah, that for me is societal expectations and stereotypes, which means that if you've gone through a number of years, you've done like 23, 24, 25, 27 years, it's expected that you can finish, you know, can get to the finish line. And when you now decide to, okay, we are not getting to the finish line anymore, people now look at you like you have failed in that institution. It's because it's the stereotype that goes around that assumes that once you are married, your life depends on that marriage. And I think we need to start having conversations where we begin to change all of these stereotypes to let people know that marriage does not make you. Marriage is, when marriage doesn't go the way you want, it doesn't mean you have failed. Marriage, we understand, is an institute, a sacred one, like you have said, and it's also a partnership. And we get into businesses with partners. Along the way, we realize that, okay, we have met our objectives, and we need to go our separate ways so that we can move on to the next level. But that assumption that once the marriage doesn't work out, you have failed. Right. Nothing is good is going to come out of it. You're going to discourage a lot of people. I think we should start changing that, because you are more than the marriage. You are who you are. Your destiny is what God has destined you to be, whether the marriage stays or not. Because the truth is, in your destiny, it may be that at some point, the marriage is meant to go away so that you can move on to the next level. But when we have that assumption that, she has failed or he has failed, we put people under depression, we put a lot of pressure on people, and we see that it now starts making a lot of people stay in a marriage, not fulfilling their purpose because they need to meet societal expectations.
Right, let me take Mariam's first initial thoughts before I come to you.
Okay, so initial thoughts.
Yes.
I was like, if it fails from the richest people in the world, educated people, you know, everything is just nice and fresh. If you can fail for this people, then who else would it work for? Those were my initial thoughts. But I also understand that I get the fact that, yes, people are saying, you know, there's just a life also outside marriage. But there's something I picked from what they said, which is we now realize that we can no longer grow together. And you know, that's something about marriage that for me has always been at the back of my mind, that I know that we're constantly growing, we're constantly evolving. And that in marriage, that we hope that in our growth and in our evolution that we're on the same page. Because imagine what would happen when you are now growing farther than the other, and maybe the other is not patient enough for you to catch up, or the other one is just too slow to even get involved. So those are the realities. But I used to think that with marriage, that when those differences would occur, when they happened, was that in that time where one is strong, And when one is weak, the other one is strong for the both of us. When one is forging ahead so fast, the other one is just right there to support. And we do it for each and every one of us. But it seems like now there's this situation where is, you know, I'm in front, you can't catch up. Yeah. Tick, tick, I need to go, you know, and this is not working. So sometimes that's what I see now. I understand that there are valid reasons why people will go their separate ways. But if it's a reason like we can't grow together, can we make us grow together? Can we, in what ways can I come in? In what ways can we, you know, work this out, especially after 27 years? Yeah. So the question for someone like me who hasn't even gotten to, you know, that sort of milestone is like, okay, here I am thinking, these are the issues for the first 5 years, or these are the issues for the first 10 years. And if I'm able to sort this out, then we'll just be cruising, you know, in the final years. Yeah. So, my initial thoughts.
Life happens. That was my thought. I was shocked and I was unhappy because these are a couple that have been in the forefront of helping to solve polio, financing malaria issues, and they've done it together across the world. So we've seen a power couple that they're philanthropic, and we're seeing the evidence of the impact of what they're doing across the world. So it was shocking that after you're doing so much good, you will still have such issues. But like I said, we're human, life happens. And many people have now decided to use this one to start drawing conclusion. If mine cannot work for them, mine cannot work. It's just them. It's not your story. It's them. It's their reality. It's not your own reality. But another thing that touched me was the fact that have we gotten to that point where, like, we used to be able to stay. Like, we used to have, like, this doggedness. We used to stay and we have to make it work. And we're getting to the point where I've heard of 40-something-year-old marriage that they said they're not doing again. What would make you stay 27 years and now realize something that you cannot stake anymore?
You know, when I saw this stuff, you know, to me, you see, I feel like a lot of people have been very hypocritical. You're in a marriage, yes, you're happy, he's a good friend, you're raising kids together, and you're happy. Now, maybe divorce is horrible when your children are growing because you have a lasting effect. But once your children are grown, they are adults, they're doing what they want to do, maybe it's then time you have a reality check. Can I step aside? Can I say, you know what, it's about me now. My growth, my joy, my happiness, I want to do stuff. And the guy or the man or the wife is saying, no, let's stay home and just continue to be mommy and dad. And you're like, it's time to go. So I guess there are different stages in life, and I think that's the reality we have to face. We are in the marriage where our kids are still growing. So we're here, we're in there. Want to stay. But we might get to a phase where, okay, they're now 27, 30 years old, and maybe your husband is still doing, we're still going to stay in the village. We're not going to the main, we're not going to the city. We're not moving out, but let's continue. And you're like, no, I want to travel. I traveled to the US with my children. I want something more than just staying in the village. And the husband, no, I'm staying here. I'm like, you know what, it's done. I'm time to go. I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm saying maybe that's what the reality is.
That's what I'm saying. That you don't have staying power to negotiate to make it work. Before, we used to find a way to get a middle ground. Let's negotiate. Let's compromise for one another to make it work. But now we feel like, I'm not, like, if it's not going to work, I don't want you to be unhappy. So this, I want to be happy. I don't want you to be unhappy. You can move on and be happy. Me, I will stay where I want to be. But we're supposed to find a middle ground where we can have a win-win situation.
Me, I don't think
to what end, though? Let's stay on that for a minute. Okay. So both of us will negotiate, like our parents have been doing. But to what end? Me to continue to manage or what?
Honey, I don't even think there was any form of negotiation at that time. What I thought was, because society made it impossible for the woman to leave, and everything is blamed on the woman. So you're not able to keep your home. You're not able to do this one. They stay there and they endure it all. Now, if you listen to them a few years back in their old age, when they narrate what they went through, honey, you will not advise anybody close to you to go through that. So it wasn't about compromise or negotiation. The men at the time did not even give the women the opportunity to negotiate. This is your job. Fix your home.
Let me come to Arike and I'll come to you. Arike, are you there? From Abuja. You're live. Go ahead, please. Hello, Arike.
Volume.
I can't hear her. It's pretty low. Hello, Arike, are you there?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Now I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
You're live. Go ahead.
How are you? I can't hear you, Maud. I can't hear you.
Just speak.
We can hear you.
I can't hear you.
She can't hear us, so we can hear her. Yeah, so I was just saying, there's statistics that shows that empty nesters usually go through this situation. So empty nesters are parents who their children are grown and have left the house, and then they eventually find themselves with just each other. So you were distracted by taking care of the children, take them to school back and everything, you know, working towards nurturing and building your children. So they are now adults, they've moved out, even maybe to university. And you realize that you had not had the time to work on yourselves. And what many people are saying is that right now, what would have happened before, it would be, okay, this is how people will go on a second honeymoon, let's try and work things out. But now it's almost like we do not have the patience to do that. You know, time is ticking. I'm unhappy right now, and I do not see the way forward. Now, I do not want to just assume that this couple, Bill and Melinda Gates, in my mind, I keep calling them Belindas together, you know, that they did not have a time, maybe they give themselves, because they look like people that would discuss and analyze and overanalyze stuff, that they did not sit down and give themselves like a period, like, okay, let's give ourselves like a year and see if this works out. Let's try and do the things that we both enjoy with each other. And if they did do that, then I guess it's only fair that they want to move on to what they think will make them happy. But if they didn't do that, then it will be really sad that if they're able to put so much energy into all the other things that they have done and achieved, and they're unable to do that for the marriage, that would be sad.
Let me take this call. Good morning, are you there? I have Oladipo. Oh, I think our phone lines. Well, so as I said, I'd like us to really bring this to today, the people that are watching, because we've seen them, Belinda and Melinda. You pack them for a second, because there are people right now, mothers, like they are in that 30-year, 35-year marriage, frustrated. Some of them are still being beaten up by their spouses for one reason or the other. I mean, at that age, there are issues where they are just managing. They struggle to manage this relationship. Now, do we say at a phase in your life, you should be able to take responsibility for your own emotions and say, you know what, I can't grow again with this person. It's time to go. Or should we continue to encourage them to endure, even to death do them part?
Right, I don't like the word endure. I don't think anybody should license the rest of their life to a journey of enduring. I don't think that we should, and many people have been in that case. And I think we sadly think only women are enduring.
Even the men.
Men are enduring.
Yes.
Men live with narcissistic, evil women that are always insulting and cursing every second. Men live with dirty women all their life, and they endure it because they have kids with this woman. So there are things men are enduring as well, and looking like, man, a woman will just tie up her flare everything. I'm like, just put yourself together and look good for me, please. You know? And so there are times when men are also enduring, and if they decide to go out and say, let me also go, I'm done, I want to enjoy myself. There are women that say they don't want to fly. You know, and like the man wants to go on a boat cruise, and the woman is saying, I cannot stand water. You know, so there are things that many couples put on hold for their life to succeed. I watched an interview by Melinda Gates saying that when they go for meetings and they go to meet high network individuals, that they're in awe of Bill. And she sits there in the meeting, and she watches how they gush all over Bill. And she's like, okay, they listen to him, and then at a while, he would point attention towards her. And then they hear her talk, and they say, oh, you're actually intelligent. And she's wondering, I'm sure that must have happened several times. It can be dehumanizing for a woman to always be like a second fiddle in the shadow of a big man.
Moving, let's talk to this person. James, we're holding for a while. James, are you there?
Yep.
James, you're live. Go ahead, please.
I have one question, though.
You have a question?
Do you want to be... Yes, I have a question. The question is, well, no, marriage, it's not compulsory you be in a marriage. So the question is, marriage itself is an institution, and I'd love to ask people, do you want to be in an institution? That's my question.
I didn't get the question.
Okay, marriage is an institution. You know, like institutions are like hospitals and all. Like, do you want to live in an institution? So
there are different parts of that. I mean, there are kids involved. There are business within that marriage. There's issues of taking care of the health of the kids, family. So when you say institution, what do you mean that there's a lot that has to do with that group, with man, woman, and kids? That's what we mean by that.
Let me add to talk by saying that, you know, when it comes to marriage and the way the world is evolving, it's very important that you constantly have conversations to know where both of you are.
Exactly.
So as you move step by step, some people have these conversations in 5 years, the next 5 years. What what are your expectations of me? What are my expectations of you? Have we moved away?
Ourselves?
Yes. Have we moved away from how we wanted it to be? Have you changed? Have I changed? How long? I have this conversation. In fact, it's my husband that initiates this sort of conversations, and I find it very uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, I realize that it's helping us to understand, okay, you are moving too fast. I'm struggling to catch up. Hey, what can we do to bridge this gap so that we move together? So I always appreciate him, but initially I don't like to have those conversations. But if we understand that, we now understand that it takes strength to be able to take yourself away from a toxic environment, a toxic marriage. Let us not always be in a hurry to judge and expect that it must be this way, that way, and that way, and if it doesn't work this way, you have failed. Let us understand that it takes strength for someone to say, this is no longer working for me, I want to go out. And let us encourage people who are in that space. We would advise that everybody should find a way to make it work. Because the truth is, we need a healthy society. We need a wholesome society. And society comes from the family. But if you're in that situation where, at what cost? In that situation where it's no longer working, your dreams and your goals and your aspirations are suppressed. Let me give you an example. There's this long-time prophet of God, Catherine Kluma, who God instructed, do not marry. That was her assignment on earth, was not to be married. You are here to, you know, and she tried, and she had 5 failed marriages. Now, looking from the outside, you wonder, how come a woman of God like this cannot even keep a home? It was her destiny. And so we need to understand that sometimes it's not meant to be that long for you to get to your purpose. So just give people...
Let me take this call from Trudy. Trudy, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
A first-time caller. I'm calling.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I want to throw more light about what you guys are deliberating about. We should understand that Bill Gates and Melinda, they are pure philanthropists. You understand? And they're trying, they have a goal that they want to set and they want to reach. So there's no news about what caused their separation or divorce. So their main purpose is to grow their foundation. They separated and still want to grow their foundation. So we should not be deceived, you understand, about the divorce of these figures. You understand? You guys in the media should have a role to play in sensitizing the populace about what marriage is all about and the purpose of being together.
The line wasn't clear, but we were saying that they have a mission and like they have
so,
a foundation.
As I said, we're not dissecting Bill and Melinda Gates. There could be very different conspiracy theories for their marriage. We're not interested in why.
The concept.
We're removing the fact that a couple that have impacted many lives, after 27 years, have decided to go their separate ways. And we're trying to get the lessons from that experience. Their conspiracy theories is none of our business. So going back to the issue, that when a family says, okay, my kids are grown and I want to do something else, why do we find it difficult to compromise or to find a middle ground and still stay in that home? Is it the times that we're in that empowers people to say, you know what, I can go to Germany, I can go to Japan and find a new babe. I'm 80, I'm still strong, I can take a second wife. You know, it's time for me to explore. Let me just do things. You know?
Geez, I found this.
I mean, so young men who have been with their marriages, with their families, hit that 70 mark and say, you know what, I'm still strong, I'm fit, I look good, I'm going to Japan, I have a girlfriend, I'm going to this, I'm going to that. And the woman has become a mommy in the house, and she's there with the grandma doing omugo all over the place. The point I'm trying to make is that we see our parents manage that period. Maybe they're not very close to mommy and daddy. Daddy does something, mommy is doing something. Are we not, how do we manage it now? Because times have changed.
Yeah. You know what, someone said to me when this first came out, said, why don't we look at it differently? Why don't we say 27 years, 3 well-brought-up children, successful, you had a good run. So if you look at it that way, then you do not see it as a failure.
Exactly.
And then also, I also would like for us, I find that it's easier actually to be able to say, I need to step out of a marriage that is toxic, that you can immediately say is physically, emotionally toxic. But when you're talking of something almost as ambiguous as what they have said, like we can't grow together, meaning we have other dreams and things that we want to do, and it's not just aligning. So it's not like when they call you for family meeting, imagine a Nigerian family, they call Hannah, Melinda, is he beating you? No. Is he kicking? No. Is he paying the fees? Everything he's doing. So what is it? Just we're not connecting. We're not connecting anymore.
They cannot understand it.
Yes.
In Africa, we cannot understand that kind of
story.
But
in Nigeria, I think, and African families, we have those sort of situations. But the way that we have handled it, I think what has happened is we have men who step out on their wives. Yeah. So the wives, as you described, you have a mommy who is a grandmother and the matriarch, and she's at home. And then Papa is still feeling himself, man. He's out
still
there.
The CEO of the company.
So he's out there on the streets and he's doing his thing. So there's no divorce. And then, but then there's bitterness, then there's resentment because I'm not part of it.
So instead of being hypocritical,
why
this guy to step away. So let me take this call from Oladipo. I'll come to you, BC. Oladipo, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
You're live. Go ahead, please. I think our phone lines are really bad today. We can't hear you, Oladipo.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Oh, okay. Interesting topic. It's a bit new to me because about 9 days ago I celebrated 6 months in marriage. But
6 months.
I just wanted to say that sometimes all our views are all correct, and sometimes all our views are all wrong. But most times, when we ask ourselves why we take decisions, it's because we wanted it the most at that time. And it's true that our choices may change later on, and we might feel more comfortable if we move ahead by dissolving or. And like now, I used to hear a phrase that says 10 friends cannot be together for 10 years. And then we sometimes see the other way around, that the family is the basic unit of the society. And we sometimes, even despite our pleasures and displeasures and everything, want to make things work, not only always for our personal gain, but for the benefit of all. And we've seen great leaders that actually persevered in great suffering just to make a better end. I mean, the likes of Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, and all. The purpose of everything is we all...
Hello? Oh, my goodness. Sorry about that. But I think we got the gist of what you were saying. Thank you, Oladipo, for that comment. Yes,
I wanted to share a story. I saw it online. Why is this fitting me? So, a couple abroad, Nigerian couple divorced. They have kids. The woman is both financially empowered, and they separated. But they settled to see each other, I think, 3 times in a year. And the man says that he's actually coming over to the wife's house. And whenever he comes over, it's still like they are married. Like they do everything, cook, all of that. Then he goes. And she's in her house with her children. He will go, he will come back again. And he realized instead of coming 3 times in a year, he's coming like 3 times every month. And after a long time, he said, I want us to remarry. Because he was happy about the divorce, because he had freedom, he had a girlfriend.
He's a hunter. He likes to chase.
Yeah, and now he's coming, he's going. The man said, I don't want
to stay with you again.
I don't want to be married. You can please be coming and going like that. It's interesting for me. And it just made me remember YK saying, yes, we have a relationship, but I have my own space. You know, I have my own house. If I want a break, I can go to my house and stay. And then we have this.
Like that. So let's stay on this.
Yeah.
You see, guys, because I want us to face reality.
Yes.
What is you and this your phone? Please put you on the
table.
He's constantly coming for the past 1 week.
He wants to change.
Okay. So let's stay on this matter for a minute, because the truth is, what's the objective of a family? To raise these children to be responsible adults. Because they say, oh, what's the bedrock of society? All the leaders that we have, they are coming from family. Okay, I have finally raised successful children. They are now MD, CEOs of their company. They are all married, have children. We can be partners now. Me as a wife, I can now go and find my purpose, because I shelved everything for this family. I wanted to work in NNPC. I paused it because of these children. Now they are grown. I'm still young. I still look good. I want to go. So why? So should we begin to reevaluate these situations where we expect the woman to stay just because you're married to Mr. A?
You already answered.
So, okay, I want to add to that by saying that we need to start having real, deep conversations about what marriage is about and about the types of marriages that work for different people. You know, we grew up with the fact that once you're married, you stay there. Whatever you get, whatever you see inside the marriage, you have to absorb it, you have to manage it, you have to make it work. But people are now realizing that they have different personalities. There are people who, after a while, because they see you constantly, they get tired of you and they need space. They want their space. See the man that went out. He likes to chase, like Miriam said. So when he saw that he was constantly coming back to chase, that love grew again.
And the woman likes her space.
Exactly. So if he did not give that time, he wouldn't have fallen in love back. So we need to start having conversations. What sort of marriage? Would you rather you stay here, I come and go after a while, you know, or there's a way we are going to do it, you are there, we see once in a while, or we are to, it works for us being together. You know, let's not impose.
You must always evaluate.
Yes. That's it. Let's not impose. Let's not impose. Once you are married, husband and wife, you must be in there for 20 years. No, sometimes you start that way and you realize that I'm a different person. I need some space.
You can dry your clothes anyway.
You're sounding excited.
You don't have to worry about toilet seats being down.
Yeah, I know, right?
You can dry your underwear anywhere. You can, you know, you can walk up. You can
bring running shoes all the way to the bedroom.
Yes, you know. So
each person is saying what is worrying them.
Anyways, I get what you mean and the different stages and what we should, what we're willing to agree to, the arrangements that we're willing to agree to. But I think in discussing that, then we have to also start discussing divorce in such a way that one person doesn't feel cheated. So if I feel that if this separation or arrangement does not now
mutually
make
beneficial.
me good, yes, it's mutually beneficial. So it does not leave me impoverished. All of a sudden, this lifestyle that I have, I don't have it anymore. And Oga has taken this lifestyle and dashed the secretary that he's eyeing. Now that's where the problem. So that's why somebody will say, I'm going nowhere, I'm staying here. So because when this thing came out, this story, there's this Ariwa, let me just say Ariwa social media. People were talking about the northern woman, the Ariwa woman, that usually when this sort of divorces happen, she just lives with nothing. At most 100,000 naira, you go and you go back home, no matter how long you've been in a marriage. So if women begin to feel empowered, I understand that already some stocks have been moved to Melinda. So imagine that, okay, this is what I want. This is the sort of arrangement that I want. No problem, but this is the lifestyle that I'm accustomed to, that I want to continue to have for me and for my children. Then we can now talk about the other part of the excitement, because it's I think what happens at that age is like, I need excitement, I can't get it. We need to find that.
And I think once it's mutually beneficial, both of us are happy. We're taking it, and we're mature about the decision. We're mature. It's not sabbatical.
Those arrangements good. You can have like a sabbatical in marriage.
So let's not make divorce as if it's a horrible thing. It might be necessary, cautiously necessary at some point. Let's take this call from Hassan. Look at us. Hassan, are you there?
Hassan will kill us today.
Let them tell us something.
Hassan will kill us today.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Murad.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, executive member. Please, I have something to say here. You see, we are operating from different clients. This Oyibo matter is different from our own here.
Okay.
And I had a man that called that marriage is an institution. It's an institution. Do you want to belong to an institution, or you want to stay away from an institution? And me as a Muslim, you see, marriage is about compatibility. You must be compatible right from day one. That compatibility has to do with everything about you and her. And you must be forward-looking. You understand? You now picture her when she's old. She now pictures you when you are old, so that you can remain bonded together. But you see, immediately we begin to see marriage as fashionable. You understand? We are missing the point. Look, they are sending wrong signal to the whole world because they are world leaders, both Bill Gates and his wife. After 27 years of marriage, I'm no longer interested. There was a woman there in Europe or America. The same thing with her. She ended up marrying a teacher of her daughter. she left a marriage like that. That is their own way of doing things. Let us look at it this way. Had it been, it was Bill Gates on his own that said, look, madam, let me walk over. I'm walking out of this marriage. I don't think your opinion will remain the same. What you are expressing today, I don't think so.
Okay.
They will look at it as somebody cheating somebody. But because now it is this issue of, dog biting a man is never a news. But when man bites a dog, it's a news.
All right. Thank you very much, Hassan. All right, so you're going to come
Hassan was taking us to the religious and cultural perspective.
Yeah.
We're not talking based on Hassan. We're not discussing based on religious and cultural perspective. We're just analyzing the situation to see what can we learn from it. But if we go religious, of course, every religion will say that you should make the family work and you should find a way to find balance. And we are all
on that page.
We share that sentiment.
We share that.
But just for the fun of having this conversation and looking at different perspectives,
because
if you are on the verge of divorce, consider sabbatical. Sometimes that break might just help you reevaluate.
Reevaluate.
Because I find out that when somebody loses a husband or spouse or something, I mean, I know somebody who her husband died. I mean, she wasn't so old. I mean, she was like her 50s or late 50s. And this is a person that before the husband died, their house is such a strict, when you enter the house, it's very cold. The man is just he's a strict man. You know, you just, when they put you, you sit down.
Sit down there, don't shake.
Don't move, especially when the husband is around. After he passed on, the house was softer. The life, they can allow the colors. They change the couches. It was bright.
Wow.
You come in there. Yes, there was a part of mourning, but a year after, there was activity. People were walking up and down, and I'm thinking to myself, this time last year,
2 different personalities.
2 different personalities. So she was there, but accepted that this is my husband. This is how we are. We are because of my husband. But the point is that we all do that. We all compromise that, okay, this is how we are. This is how we do things.
And some of us compromise more than
them at night. We must, because we've compromised. That's what marriage is about, right? But maybe it's halfway.
Yes.
But when there is that, okay, guys, I want to be myself. I want to be me. We're not asking for divorce. That's what I'm saying. We now want to live life the way we are. So you're saying, is it selfish? It's debatable.
Yeah, but I believe that your cup has to be full before it can flow over. So we have been raised to always put other people first before ourselves. Now the world is getting to a place where the emphasis is on putting yourself first before the next person. So you can help the next person better, so you can love the next person better. But some people still haven't come to an understanding that this is actually good for both of us. They see it as you are now becoming selfish. You are not thinking about yourself. You just want to do your own things. We used to do this together. Now you're no longer interested and all of that. And it causes that friction. But if we go back to the same having regular conversations, table it, discuss it. Anything that you can start working and adjust. Sometimes we change without knowing. So it takes the other person to notice, to say, Miriam is now beginning to, you were not like this before. At what point? And you start retracing to see where you have gone wrong and explain if this is now the new meal. Find a way to adjust.
But there's something that many people say, I feel that it's unrealistic when they say, picture her when she gets old. Picture her when he's old. Or you have to be sure from the beginning that you're compatible. Compatibility changes. Friendships changes. And sometimes it's really hard to picture anyone beyond what you really see. I mean, we're not God. Do you understand? So there's another high-profile marriage, too, that crashed that in America as well. They came together because of their love for fashion and almost their vanity. That's Kim and Kanye West. And then all of a sudden he found Christ and he wanted to live a more modest, conservative life.
And they couldn't
could not work together. So imagine if in that case the wife now decided to compromise to the point where, okay, this is where he's headed and this is what I would do. You have a woman in a marriage who is sometimes bitter because this is not who I am, but I have to do it. But you have figured out immediately, quick enough, that this is not working for us. They tried the path of, okay, let's try to do this together. She even tried to tone down, but it didn't work. So I think that's a reality we need to tell ourselves, that we are ever growing, ever evolving, and changes will happen.
I like the way you said that, because the truth is that many of our mothers feel like they didn't accomplish their goals. They subjected all that for family. They put all their desires, their ambition, put it down. Today, they feel like, well, at least I have you.
At least the children.
At least I have you, the children.
So what reality is saying that things are changing, we are evolving, and we're saying this, you can still live that dream at some point. Maybe after, as you're having these conversations, on maybe 10, 15 years, and then when the kids are grown, you can still have this conversation. Okay, I'd like to go do this. Both of us can still do it together.
I think that
we don't have to divorce to do it. We can still do it together.
If it works.
I think the solution is that the regular evaluation, regular deep conversation,
deep ones,
and sometimes you need a break. It might be vacation for one. My marriage, whenever I travel like this, I come back
refreshed.
It's new. Everything is sweeter.
Rejuvenated.
I think it's good to take that periodic break. It would hurt a bit, but when you come back, everything fires up.
What if you're not allowed to take that break?
We have to run.
If you're married to somebody who's gone body.
Everybody's reporting there. The two of you.
Are we going to talk about it?
Just go to the other room.
That's all we can take.
Just go to another room.
But lessons learned is that, yes, I mean, when you raise your children and they're happy, yes, we understand it's important for you to raise your kids well and stay in the family for that. Now, even after the kids have grown, you can still stay together. You can still be together. But if you choose to move on, listen, it's between you and God. I know my own religion doesn't allow you to divorce.
Keep evaluating your relationship.
But keep evaluating your relationship is extremely important. I think that's a high point of the lesson we've learned today. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. Bye for now.
Bye.